All right, Rebecca Brebberman, thank you for coming onto the show.
You're welcome.
You and I have a little bit of a history.
Yeah, we do.
What do you want to tell about that?
Okay. So I guess we met like at a party.
It's probably 2 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. June 2022.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I just remember like my first impression of you was like, oh my gosh, this guy is funny and I need to be his friend.
That's nice of you to say.
Yeah. No, but it's true. And then we were kind of friends for a while, I guess. We went on a few dates. You dated somebody else.
Whoops.
Whoops. I decided I liked you. Then we tried to date for a minute. Didn't work out. A few months later, we tried again. Didn't work out. And then we haven't spoken in about 8 months. And I ran into you like a week ago.
Yeah.
And here we are.
This is our first time having a conversation in 8 months.
Yeah.
So
kind of weird.
Kind of freaky, kind of fun.
We'll see.
Well, thanks for coming on the show. I'm excited to hear your insights about dating and about romance, all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
We talked a little bit before we started recording. You've been living kind of a fun, interesting life lately, doing lots of cool things. Kickboxing, you've been doing aerial silks, ice skating, VR, skydiving type stuff. I mean, lots of stuff. It's cool.
Thank you. Yeah.
I've been enjoying life.
Yep. Enjoying life. Trying to find happiness, I guess.
Yeah. Cool. Well, first question for you. What are your dating deal breakers?
Dating deal breakers. Okay. So I feel like you can't expect anything from somebody that you personally like can't provide, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like if I'm expecting somebody to be kind, then I should also have that quality.
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, obvious ones would be like abuse of any kind.
Yeah.
Whether it's physical, emotional, verbal, is not okay ever.
For sure, yeah.
And then cheating, not okay. Let's see.
What about like less serious
Less
ones?
serious, yeah, I know. We'll get there. So I think for me personally, and I think everyone's like on a different page, but it's important like that I'm with somebody that has similar beliefs and values.
Yeah.
Just because like my faith and
Yeah. So someone
my
who's a
beliefs
member of the church.
are really important to me. So even not only like someone who's a member of the church, because you can be a member of the church and like not be
a wolf in sheep's clothing. Yeah.
Super like I don't know the word valiant.
For sure.
And like I know everyone's kind of on their own like path of like where I'm at in my like faith journey and stuff like that. And so it's not like you have to be absolutely perfect. But I think like when hard things happen, it's like a big test of character of like, do you like how do you react to it?
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, I've had times where I've gone through like periods where I'm like questioning or not sure, but like I've made like the decision, like I'm still going to go to church. I'm still going to like do these things because if I don't think I'll be very happy. So I think it's kind of makes me skeptical when somebody like maybe has like kind of a past. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not necessarily a deal breaker. I think it just depends like where are you right now?
Yeah,
in that.
For sure. Like you want to vet them for where they're going.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I mean, like in our culture, it's like marriage is forever.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I believe, you know, and so it's like, if this is a person I'm going to be with forever,
it's a big deal.
Yeah, it's like a very important decision. So, you know, I mean, I also believe in like progression after this life. And so it's like, are you going to be somebody that is going to want to progress with me in the ways that I want to, if that makes sense? So.
Yeah, that does make sense.
Okay.
Once you're in love, how much time should people be spending together? Before marriage, right?
Oh, before?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. 24/7.
24/7.
No,
wow,
no,
really?
No, that would be weird. Also, we probably shouldn't be like living together.
Yeah,
I mean,
good point. Good point.
If you are a member of the church. Anyway, but if you're not, I mean, I'm not judging anybody. So I guess I don't know the answer to that question really, but I think it just like depends on the people, you know? So I'm like a big quality time person. I like spending time with people. So like for me, it's like I prefer to spend as much time with somebody as possible. But
how
also,
much time is that?
I mean,
Let's get to know Rebecca Brebberman.
I mean, like I'd love to talk to whoever I'm with like every day at least, you know, like potentially see them every day if I can. But like, again, I also like don't want to be like overbearing or needy or anything like that.
It's probably normal when two people are in love to
I don't know,
talk every day, right?
Well, you would think
see each
so,
other
maybe,
every day.
maybe. But so maybe this is for later, but do you know who John Gottman is?
No, who is that?
Okay, so he's a relationship like expert, I guess. So he's actually a psychologist, and he's done like all these studies on couples and like married couples and like how they interact with each other and how they treat each other and talk to each other, and he can like actually predict with apparently like with 90% accuracy like if a couple will get divorced or not.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So anyway, he has a bunch of books that I think are really good. So he has kind of this, I don't know, the theory or something. It's called like the 6 magic hours, I think.
6 magic hours.
Yeah. So you can look that up maybe if you want.
What is it?
So it's like 6 things that you can do each week that just take like a few minutes each day to like build your like relationship with somebody and build your connection with somebody.
Cool. What are those 6 things? Do you remember them?
I don't know all the 6 things. You have to go look it up.
One of them's probably talk to each other, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's stuff like
communicate.
How do you like greet each other like when you come home or something like that? Like how do you like go to bed, like before you go to bed, like do you talk to each other, you know, like, or I don't know, it's just stuff like that. Like in the morning, like maybe you ask like, what do you have going on today, you know, just stuff that you can like, I don't know, interact with each other on, because I think sometimes people just like get into routine and then like it just becomes like, oh, we're kind of our separate lives. And anyway, so I don't know, I think things like that, if you can like make them habits, then they're not super weird. But like if it's something that you're like, oh, I have to do these steps like to improve my relationship, it might feel like a little like awkward and formulaic at first. I don't know. But
makes
I don't
sense.
know. That's why like I'm looking into this stuff now so that I can like make these habits so that later it's not weird.
Yeah. No, that's smart. That's cool.
Yeah.
What about after people are married? How much time should they be spending together every day, or you know,
every day
within a week? Yeah, like what's realistic and what's realistic? What's the goal? You know.
Listen, okay. My parents don't spend that much time together, and I think it's sad.
I hope they don't watch this.
I didn't tell them about it. Sorry. Anyway, sorry. The question was how much time
once they're married.
So I do think it's important to like have your own hobbies, because like if you're together all the time, you're probably going to get bored of each other. You're probably going to like run out of things to talk about because you haven't like gone out separately and experienced things to like come back and talk about, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So your future husband can't do aerial silks with you. That's what you're saying.
I doubt that I would find somebody who would want to do aerial silks with me. Could be funny to like try, but I don't expect, do not expect somebody that I'm married to do aerial silks with me or ice skating or any other of my various activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny. What are some double standards that frustrate you?
Okay. So I think when I was growing up, like kind of the mentality is like, okay, girls have to be open and like give boys a chance because like, oh, it's super hard for them to like get the courage to ask you out. A girl out. So you have to like,
you have to say yes to a first date.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think I like sometimes like you feel almost like you feel guilty or like mean or judgmental if you don't want to go out with somebody and you like want to say no, but you feel like you can't.
Yeah.
But then I just feel like on the other hand, a guy's not going to ask out a girl that he's not like somewhat attracted to, somewhat interested in. Like it just is not going to happen ever. So it's like hard because I just feel like there's more of an expectation that girls are going to be like open and like giving people a chance and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
interesting. Any others?
Any others? I feel like I had another one, but like I can't remember it right now.
It's probably healthy to not be like dwelling on those kinds of things.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe.
Well, that is my big frustration though, is like, when people are just like, I guess like because I've gotten older now and people are kind of like, maybe you're just picky, you know, and that's kind of annoying because I'm like, okay.
You're like, well, I mean, what does that mean? It means I'd rather be single than be with one of those guys.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, again, like I said, this is somebody that I feel like I'm going to be with forever.
Mm-hmm.
So why do I not have the right to be picky about that?
Yeah.
So
I think that's a common thing. You know, a lot of people from our parents' generation, for example, they would claim that their children are picky. Their children would maybe claim that they just have high standards. Right?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's just that like in previous generations, like maybe there was like different attitudes about like dating and marriage. And it's just like, oh yeah, you just like someone and it's fine and you just make it work. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's kind of like maybe been a thing, but
our generation wants something
something special.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
That makes sense. Okay. Do you feel like it's okay to expect the man to be the sole provider once you're married and have children or are building a family?
I mean, obviously, I think, again, that depends on, like, the couple and what they want to do. I think, at least, like, in our culture, it's, like, that's pretty common for, like, the man to be the sole provider and then, like, the woman to stay home and take care of the kids. I mean, you know, like, in the family proclamation, it kind of says, like, here are your roles, you know?
Right.
And that, to me, is like very traditional. And while like I do want to be with somebody hopefully that can like provide well enough for like my family, like I don't really envision like a relationship where like we are very separate. Like he's the only one that works and I'm the only one that stays home and like cleans the house and takes care of the kids.
Yeah.
Especially now as like I have my own business. It's not something like I want to give up, you know? Right. I mean, I didn't picture myself working past 30 when I was like in high school or college. I thought I'd probably be married a lot younger than I am. And no, I'm not married. So still working, you know, because I have to provide for myself. But like now that I've built this life, it's not something I like want to totally abandon.
Right.
I think
it's a lot of effort.
Yeah.
To build the life that you have.
And I love what I do, and it is something I feel like would fit in well with like having a family, because it is like pretty flexible. I can do everything from home pretty much, and I can choose how many projects or what clients I want to take on and stuff like that. So but I mean, I grew up in a very, very traditional family, so my parents are very much like separate roles. My dad just made the money, and like that was his job, and then my mom did like everything else. And I don't love that per se, because like I think, and not to say anything like negative about my parents, because they're great and I love them. It's just not the kind of relationship I would want. And I think like my relationship with my dad kind of suffered for that, because like he wasn't super involved in like stuff like with us kids. Yeah. It was like all my mom. Okay. So
what kinds of things do you wish he was more involved in? Let's get raw.
Yeah, sure. I mean, again, hopefully he doesn't see this. No.
Which I know you love your dad.
I do. Yeah. I do. He's a really good man. Yeah. There are just things that I would prefer not to have in my relationship. Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is what some people probably don't know is my mom is from Brazil. So there are some like cultural differences there between my parents. Yeah. She didn't speak very good English like when they first got married. And so I think like because the communication was hard, she didn't really like expect him to do certain things, or like didn't communicate to him like to do certain things. And then like when she
how good was her English?
How good was her English? Probably not great. I don't know.
She speaks great now.
Yeah, she does. She has an accent still. Mm-hmm. She still says funny things, Yeah.
You keep a record of
I do.
Of the funny things she says. I remember that.
Yeah, it's fun. Well, I don't know if this is off topic, but my favorite joke. Okay. One time, I think this was like when I was in high school, I don't even remember what happened, but she was like kind of pouting and sad, and I think I like made her sad for some reason. Not like I didn't do anything bad, but I was just like, Mom, like stop looking for Lorne. And she didn't know what that meant. And so she was like, who's Lorne? And I was like, no, Lorne's not a person. Or Lorne, it means sad. And so that's our little joke now. Like when someone is sad, we're like, oh, you're looking for Lorne. Where's Lorne? Can we find Lorne? So anyway, that's
fun.
She's just cute. Anyway, everyone loves her.
Yeah.
She's nice and happy and cute. But anyway, I guess back to the original story. So when my mom had me and like my sister, her mom came from Brazil to stay with her, like to help, which I think is pretty common. Like your mom comes to help you when you have your first baby or whatever. But she stayed and like lived with us for like months, like 6 months. And I think that was kind of a little bit detrimental in a way to like, because my dad just didn't have to do anything. Like he never had to feed us, change our diapers, like, get up in the middle of the night if we were crying or stuff like that,
He's like, oh, this is what it means to be a parent.
Sure. And I guess like because they kind of established those roles. Yeah. I think that's just like kind of how they ended up like living their life. So, which I mean, I think you don't have to stay in a way. Like if you don't like it, you can change it for sure. But like it's really hard. And I think people have to really make the effort to do that.
How do you feel like your mom could have shifted the trajectory in their relationship to taking care of their children?
Ooh. So my mom is so sweet. She's just like a people pleaser. And I know like she just really wanted to like be the best wife, She just like wanted to do, like serve my dad and like
for sure
give him like all the things that like, your traditional good wife would be. And again, like because her English was probably not great. I think she just like didn't know probably how to like communicate her desires or needs and stuff like that. So
yeah,
I don't know. I think I'm like this a little bit too, which is bad. It's like sometimes we want to like make other people so happy that we like put their needs above ours and like let ourselves get a little bit like
kind of steamrolled over.
Sure, yeah, in the process. Like I know I've done that many times.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, with you. I've done that. So I think I'm just trying to like recognize like what are my needs and like what is important to me so I can like communicate that.
Rebecca's got needs.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't?
Everyone has needs. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you have awesome parents.
Thank you.
What do you feel like is the relationship between physical attraction and emotional connection?
I think I'm kind of a weird person, to be honest.
Let's hear it. Let's hear how weird you are.
I've never been like those girls who are just like boy crazy, you know, like boys.
Yeah.
I've just never been like that. I'm like kind of like a one crush gal, and it's just like, this is who I like, and
all the poor guys
really
that like
intense
you.
And okay, whatever. Anyway, wait, what was the question?
The relationship between.
Oh yeah. Okay, so I feel like I rarely look at a person and be like, oh my gosh, they're so attractive. Like it just doesn't really happen for me that much. Maybe like celebrities, but that's like kind of different because they're supposed to be beautiful, you know?
Yeah.
But even like a person who is maybe like conventionally attractive, I'm just like, oh, it's a person, like whatever. Until like they open their mouth, like I have like no, I don't know.
As soon as they open their mouth though, you're like, wow.
I'm like, oh, no. No, I mean like, okay, so one time I did think this one guy was cute in my ward, and I was like, oh, like, okay, I asked him out on a date.
I think I know who you're talking about.
You do. Well, you don't know him, but I've told you the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
But tell the story, please.
I'll tell the story. Well, I'll just make it brief because nothing against this person, you know, but I asked him out, and like the longer the date went on, like the more I was like less and less attracted to him, like as the night went on. And by the time I got home, it was a personality thing, and we just did not like. I think his humor, my humor did not mesh well together.
Yeah.
And it was just weird. So anyway, I get home and my roommates are all excited because they're like, oh my gosh, how did your date go? And I was like, please don't ask me about that. Let's just say when he opened his mouth, I was like, okay, I don't know what you're going to say to like my friends or my family or whatever. And I don't want to feel like embarrassed of you coming around to my family. So I probably ghosted him, to be honest. I don't know. But anyway, so that's kind of a reverse example, I guess, where he was attractive to me initially, and then I was like, okay, actually, like I have 0% attraction to you at all. But I think, for me, usually like the emotional attraction comes first. Yeah. And then the physical attraction comes after.
And then it comes with a very strong force, right? Like a tidal wave. I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh. You're talking about yourself?
No. Okay. So you meet the perfect guy. He's head over heels for you.
Okay.
Absolutely in love with you. He's perfect in every way.
That's not possible.
You. But just for the scenario's sake.
For the scenario, but that's not
right.
Not possible.
I agree. It's not possible.
Okay.
He's perfect for you in every way, but his face is a little bit ugly to you.
a little bit ugly to me.
Just like a little bit ugly.
Just like your face. No, I'm just kidding.
Sure.
Your face is not ugly to me.
Do you go for it?
Well, I think that's a silly question because their face would not be ugly to me if I loved him. His face would not be ugly to me.
Okay, but
I know what you want me to say, but okay.
For the sake of the scenario, at least when you first meet him.
When I first meet, I wasn't attracted to you when I first met you. You know this.
I know. Hurts my feelings every time I hear that.
I know. We can be honest, right?
Yeah, we can be honest.
Well, it changed, you know.
It did change.
Yeah.
Miracle.
Miracle. Okay. We've talked about this before too.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you know, I'm kind of like a Barbra Streisand fan.
Yeah.
So she did a movie called The Mirror Has Two Faces.
Mm-hmm.
You've seen that one, right? Maybe?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
So in the movie, she is this like ugly woman, which she's not really ugly. Like she's just unconventionally, like her looks are just unconventional.
I think Barbra Streisand's attractive.
I think she's a pretty
She's kind
woman.
of a weird looking attractive, but she's attractive.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I have a weird like
you have a little bit of a
crush on her. But anyway, so in this movie, the guy who's played by Jeff Bridges, he decides like, okay, I've had all these relationships with like beautiful women and like all these physical relationships, and they always like wreck my life and mess me up, and I don't want to do that anymore. So I want to marry someone who I'm not attracted to. Yeah. And he puts an ad in the paper, basically, and Barbra Streisand's sister like answers the ad for her and is like, oh, you should meet my sister. And basically she's like, you saw her picture, right? And he's like, yeah, so? And she's like, and you're okay with it? And he's like, sure. Because he's like looking for someone he's not physically attracted to. Yeah. So the thing is I think she is attractive, but she doesn't know that she is, because like in her family and in her life, people have told her that she's not attractive. People have told her that she's not like good enough. Like she doesn't measure up to. I know. I mean, okay. I mean, I feel like I can relate a little bit because like in my family, my sister, who was always beautiful, like growing up, you know, she was the one that got all the attention. And I was like, okay, like, I mean, I'm a little more shy and weird and quirky, but that's fine.
Such a nerd.
I'm such a nerd. I play the clarinet.
Okay, but you're
that's
very
nerdy.
Beautiful though.
Thank you.
I mean, yeah.
Because I had my Barbra Streisand transformation. No. So anyway, but back to the movie. So they get married and decide to like not have a physical relationship at all. And this kind of bothers her because she like falls in love with him and she wants to have a physical relationship with him.
And he's for some reason fighting it, even though they're married.
Yeah.
It's like kind of a funny story.
It is kind of, this is like, it's kind of an awkward movie, to be honest. And I'm like a little bit embarrassed that I like it so much because it's like not something I would just like watch with like my parents or something. Yeah. Anyway. So she tries to seduce him in the movie. So this is a spoiler alert. You're laughing at me. So, and it's a heartbreaking scene though. It's so sad because she just like
comes in the room, right?
Yeah, she like tries to. Okay, we don't have to like be explicit here. It's not like inappropriate. They're married.
Right, they're married. It's fine.
It's fine. But he rejects her, and she thinks it's because she's ugly, and it's so sad. And so basically, like he has to go to town for a few months, and she like kind of works on herself and like realizes like, no, like I am attractive, you know, and like I am good enough. And she kind of like goes through this metamorphosis, I guess. And in the end, he comes back and he's like, what happened to you? Like, you're pretty now. Like, you know, where's my ugly wife? Not really, but
he's just shocked.
Yeah, he's just shocked. And, you know, she tells him like, you know, I fell in love with you and I wanted more from our relationship then. And I realized like, that's what I want. Like, I don't want this like loveless marriage, you know? Why are you laughing at me?
I'm not laughing at you. It's a really funny story. I do.
It is a funny story.
It's kind of ridiculous.
I know.
But it's a good movie.
What's a good story though?
Yeah.
So in the end, he realizes like, wait, she was attractive the whole time. Like her eyes were beautiful. Like her mouth, like the way she carried herself, the way she laughed at herself and made fun of herself. Like, and so anyway, the whole point is, and the reason I tell the story is because like, to me, like when you really do love somebody like that, like even like the weird things about them, I think like become kind of endearing a little bit.
Okay.
Or like a little charming. It's like, oh, you know, like that weird freckle is kind of cute actually. Or like
the freaking weird freckle.
I don't know. That was the first thing that popped into my head.
That's so funny. So what you're saying is you'd go for the guy if his face is a little ugly, because that ugly face would become cute to you.
Yeah.
Wow. Good for you. I don't think I could do that.
I know, because guys are kind of awful. I'm sorry.
This is how we're wired.
They're just very...
I'll apologize for all the men in the world.
Very physically appearance driven.
Yeah.
But I will say, though, also... I don't think like if you feel like you're ugly, like it's hopeless, because I feel like there's a lot of things you can do to make yourself more attractive. Yeah. You know? So like maybe experiment with the way that you dress or the way you do your hair, or like please have good hygiene. Like, you know, just like basic stuff. Maybe like try to live a healthier lifestyle or something if that's been a problem for you, you know. But like you have to make effort. Really.
Yeah. I agree. I 100% agree.
Okay,
I think
good.
Most people can become significantly more attractive when they figure out whatever style they need to go for, or whatever it is they need to do, right?
Yeah.
What is the ideal way to be asked out?
Oh, this was not on the list of questions.
Going off the script.
Oh, no. Okay. I do have an answer for this.
All right.
I've been asked out in ways that are like really sneaky, and I don't like it, because you're like,
are you talking about how I asked you
no,
out?
you didn't ask me out in a sneaky way. We were just talking. No.
I kind of assumed it though. I said, hey, let's go out this night.
No. Okay, listen, my memory is better than yours.
You're right. It is.
So we were at FHE and we were talking afterwards.
Yeah.
And this is so embarrassing. I remember my armpits were sweaty, and I went home and like looked in the mirror and like died, because I was like, oh my gosh.
I'm sure I was sweaty too.
This guy asked me out and I was sweaty and gross. But anyway.
It was summertime.
It was. No, we were talking and you said, oh, I think I was telling you like some awkward dating story or something like that. I'm sure that I was.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were.
I was. I'm not going to specifically say who that was. Anyway, and then you were like, well, we should go out sometime. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like,
and
sure.
I pulled out my calendar and
I
said,
then
what
you
about?
Pulled out your calendar and you're like,
I said, what about this day?
What about this day? And then you're like,
I didn't even wait for you to say yes.
I know, but then you're like, oh wait, that's my birthday. You don't remember that?
That's right.
Yeah. So we rescheduled for that following Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So, one time I had this guy ask for I went to this party.
Yeah.
It was a New Year's Eve party. And I don't know, it was kind of a weird party. Like, just the vibe of people there was probably not really my vibe of people.
Yeah.
So sorry.
You're fine.
And anyway, I was sitting at a table with my friend, and this guy kind of comes up and starts talking to us, and he's like, oh, how do you guys know each other? And we're like, oh, we served a mission together. We both played clarinet in Nauvoo, in the young performing mission.
That's right.
Yeah. And so he was like, oh, cool. Like, do you still play in any groups or whatever? And I was like, oh yeah, I play with this community band, yada, yada. And he's like, well, do you mind if I get your number to ask you more questions about this community band? And I was like, okay, if you want my number, like just like straight up ask for it. Like don't go through these weird like little.
He's being sneaky.
Yeah, being sneaky. Don't like go through these weird little things
like
to
the
try
opposite
to.
of confident, right?
Yeah. And then, like I had one time, this guy kind of asked me out, and then like kind of chickened out, I think, and like unasked me out in the same sentence. And was like, would you want to do this? But then, actually, well, I was thinking you might not want to, so actually never mind. And I was like, okay, this is like the most unattractive thing ever.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
I mean, I am a little scary, so I understand. But
not scary, you just have resting face.
Resting face. I'm trying to get better at that though. I'm more aware of these things now. Okay, let me just say that I know that I'm a bad dater. Like I know it.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. What makes you say that?
Because I am awful. Like I hate it.
In what way?
You don't even know. Like before?
I think I do know.
What do you mean?
I feel like you were fine. We went out, you were normal.
Well, yeah, when I went out with you, I was normal. That's why I liked you, because I was normal. But usually I'm not.
You liked me because you were normal.
Well, no. Okay, let's move on from that. So
okay.
Well, okay, because I know that you were going to ask me something later, and I was going to talk about this then, but we could probably talk about it now, I guess.
Go ahead.
So the first date I went on was awful. It was like...
This is your worst date story.
This is my worst date story. This is the sad worst date story. I can tell you a funny one later, so that might like make the mood a little happier.
There you go. Yeah.
So I was 17. He was 16. He was in my ward. We were friends, we were in the same group of friends, and I thought like, oh, it's just going to be casual, like no pressure, nothing weird. And okay, I want to disclaim that like also I don't have any ill feelings towards this person, and we have forgiven each other and moved on.
Yeah.
But the date itself like made me feel super uncomfortable and super embarrassed and like self-conscious. Like it was a double date with another couple, and I just felt like super judged, and like they were watching us, and it felt like he was trying to put on this production with me. And I just didn't feel comfortable with like any of the things that he was doing. The worst part of it, and it was just like I felt so embarrassed and ashamed, and like that's not how you should feel on a date.
And it was your first date.
It was my first date ever in my entire life.
Man.
And so I was like, if this is what dating is, I never want to do it again. Like, this is awful. Like, this sucks.
Yeah.
And it was a person I trusted, and like we were friends and stuff. And I just like did not expect that from him.
Yeah.
The worst part of it, which is kind of funny, I guess, is we went to the park, we had dinner. We were sitting on this hill,
It's a very long date, right?
It was a very long date. It was a marathon date, which also not necessarily ideal. Unless you like someone and you really want to spend like 12 hours with them.
Yeah. Maybe save that for later in the relationship.
Save that for later. Well, there was no later for us. But yeah, we're sitting on this hill, and he brings they worked at Cold Stone, the ice cream place, so they had little individual what are those little pints of ice cream. Yeah. And he was like, let's feed each other. And I was like, let's not feed each other. I don't want to do that. And the other couple is totally not being weird. Yeah. They're totally not feeding each other. Dang. They're not doing anything like anyway. And so I just felt like this is so embarrassing. Like, why are we doing this? Like, it was a show. And then he like does little airplane noises as he like puts the spoon up to my mouth. And I felt like I don't know. It was so like child? Patronizing. Yeah, I felt like a child, you know. Anyway, it's a very long story. There's a lot more drama that went along with it. Yeah. But I was so like ashamed that when I went home and my parents were all excited, like, oh, your first date, right? And they're like, how was it? And I was like, it was good. And I went to my room and just like cried because like I didn't want to like disappoint them and be like, it was so awful. Sad. Yeah. And so anyway, it created a lot of like weird drama within like my friend group, and this like weirdness dragged on for like 6 months, and then finally we kind of like moved past it and whatever. But I did not want to go out with anyone for like a year after that. And I think, well, I know this is where all my like issues come from.
This is where it started.
Yeah.
Dang.
Because I decided that day, I was like, well, I'm never going to let somebody like make me feel that way again.
Yeah.
And so my way to like cope with that was like, not necessarily to be mean, but like just to be like very closed off. And like, I was like, if people don't like me, then I can't like be put in that position again.
Yeah.
And so I would like purposely, if I'd get asked on dates by guys, would like purposely make them bad so that they wouldn't ask me out again.
Wow.
Yeah. Dang. So be glad I didn't do that to you.
I know. I feel very grateful. That was.
No, I've since recognized that is not probably healthy, and I'm just trying to like be better.
You're allowing dates to go well now.
Well, I'm trying to. It's still a struggle. Had someone the other day tell me like, you don't like dates, do you? And I was like, no, I'm trying so hard. I'm sorry.
Dates are hard to like unless you like the person.
Yeah.
And so I think that's why everyone hates first dates, because you don't like the person yet. And you usually don't start liking the person because most people have lots of first dates, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. But I'm sure there are a lot of guys out there who, when asked like, what is your worst date, they probably think of me.
I'm sure that's not true.
I think it's true. I would not be surprised. Like this one girl, she wouldn't look at me. She didn't talk to me. She like kept her hands like in her pockets and was just like super like, I don't know, rude.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
You didn't do that at all on our date, on our first date. So
yeah. Because I'm getting better. So I'm working on it. Plus, okay, it helped that I already knew you though.
Yeah. We already
knew each other for a few months. Yeah. I
That's
think
right.
I don't know. For me, it's hard like meeting somebody for the first time on a date because you don't know anything about the person.
So much pressure.
Yeah, and you're like, do I like this person? I hate that like while you're there, it's just like I'm just figuring out if I like this person or not. Mm-hmm. And you're like, I literally don't know.
Yeah. It's not fun.
It's not.
Speaking of fun.
But you like dates though. I feel like you like dates. But you get to ask out people that you want to ask out.
Right. And that's a big difference.
Yeah.
I've maybe been asked out 2 or 3 times in my life.
Mm-hmm. And how was that? Positive?
I've never been asked out by someone I wanted to be asked out by.
Okay. And how did that make you feel? Because this is how girls feel all the time.
Yeah. I felt
like, did you feel awkward? You know?
It's one of those things where you're like, how do I get out of this? You know? Yeah. Because, you know, I think most men would love to get asked out if they were being asked out by someone that they wanted to ask them out. But the thing is that doesn't happen.
Right. But it's the same for girls.
Right. Exactly.
You get excited to get asked out, but only if it's somebody that you want to go out with.
Exactly. Yes. And so in that sense, I think dating can be a little bit easier for men because you
have more control over it.
Yeah. You know, I'm not asking out someone that I don't want to go out with. And so in that sense, especially I think first dates are probably more enjoyable, right? Because you're like, oh, hey, like, let's see what happens. This is someone that I'm excited to have a conversation with or whatever, you know? And so anyway, what was your most fun date?
Fun?
Yeah.
It was with you.
Oh, that's nice of you to say. I mean, okay. Yeah. You mentioned earlier that you're going to talk about a fun or a funny date.
Oh, it was a bad date that was funny.
Let's hear that story.
Okay.
You can talk about our date if you want.
Sure, we can talk about that. You took me shooting and it was fun. And fun. I think, and because I already knew you too, like I think when sometimes you go on a first date and it's like, let's get ice cream or something, which isn't bad. Like that's pretty typical. But like, I think the activity just like made it really fun. And it was like fun for me because like it was something I was a little bit nervous about. And you were like very...
You're not really like a gun person.
I do kind of like guns a little bit.
All right.
I do. Like, I secretly have this,
they scare you, but you like them.
They scare me a little, but I still kind of like them.
All right.
Oh, you look sunburned. I just noticed that.
I am sunburned. I was out riding today.
Oh.
Splotchy, too.
You gotta put the sunscreen on, man.
I rubbed it on, but I didn't do it well enough. Yeah.
This is going like way off topic.
A lot of spots on my body right now.
Okay. Wait, okay. So my point was that like when you're doing a fun activity, like I think sometimes it's a little more interactive than just like sitting and talking I don't know. That to me is more enjoyable.
Yeah.
And it was fun because like you were like showing me like how to load the gun and like, you know, how to hold the gun. And I think when you can like show a person like something that you're interested in and like teach them something, that's really cool. And kind of attractive too, because you're like, oh, like it's kind of fun, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, the bad date that was funny. Do you want me to tell that story?
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So this is not his fault at all. I want to disclaim that.
Yeah.
But he took me to this restaurant and I ordered the butternut squash ravioli and a fancy lemonade because I'm into fancy lemonades. And we were supposed to go to like an outdoor concert after the dinner. And it was kind of a bit of a drive. So we're driving to this next location and I start feeling sick in the car. And yeah, do you remember this?
Yes.
So he's sitting next to me driving and he's like saying all these really nice things like, you look so nice today and, you know, yada, yada. And I'm just like, please don't barf. Please don't barf.
Oh, no.
And I was like really quiet and I was like, I am so sorry. I need you to take me home. And he was like, oh, like what's wrong? Like, what happened? And I was like, I feel sick and I think I'm going to throw up. I think I got food poisoning from the restaurant. Like very fast acting food poisoning.
Well, it can happen quickly.
Yeah, it was like within half an hour.
Yeah. They say it can happen almost instantly or, you know, within about 2 hours.
Well, it did. It was instant.
Jeez.
It was, yeah. And so I'm just like praying in the car, like, please do not throw up in this guy's car. Like, I will not live this down.
What would you have done? Would you have rolled down the window?
Yes, I was literally like contemplating like rolling the window down and sticking my head out the window. And then I was like, but then the wind is going to blow the barf back into the car and into my face. And yeah, anyway. So we made it home to my house, thankfully. And I think I just like ran out the car and maybe like he tried to walk me to my door and I just like gave him a hug and was like, okay, bye. And I felt bad because I was like, oh my gosh, he probably thinks I'm faking this just to get out of this date.
Dang.
Which, like, I'll be honest, I was not really interested in him, but I was like trying
it's not a bad way to get out of it.
Given ever. Yeah. I was like, maybe this is a sign. Like, this is not meant to be food poisoning.
Yeah.
Anyway, so literally it got in my house through the toilet open and all the ravioli just came out.
Dang.
Yeah, like 3 times. Sorry if that's TMI.
It's disgusting.
Yeah, I know.
Just kidding.
A little barf. I barfed today. Whoops.
That's right. From spinning.
Yeah.
In aerial silks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry, I don't talk about barfing a lot. I don't know why I'm
it's
talking about it right now.
It's a normal thing for you. It's not.
No, it's not. Okay, anyway. So, like an hour later, the guy kind of shows up again at my house. And maybe if I liked him, it would have been like cute and sweet, but he should have also texted me before coming over too, because
girls don't really want to be visited when they're throwing up.
No, you don't want to be visited
unless you have a very high trust level with the person that you're
not on a first date.
Yeah.
Like maybe on like a 12th date or something. I
when
don't
it's
know.
your boyfriend.
Sure. Yeah. So anyway, he like shows back up at my house and he has this bag of like a thermos of like hot water with some tea bags and some movies and just like stuff that you would give a sick person or something, which is like super sweet and nice and thoughtful. But he kind of like seemed like he wanted to come in and watch the movie with me. And I'm like, okay, dude, like I literally just threw up and like I'm in my sweats, like I'm in my grungy clothes and took my bra off. Like we're not cuddling. And also like I don't want to watch a movie with you. Like I don't want to get that close to you. I don't know. I just feel like the connotation with like watching a movie is like obviously cuddling and stuff. So so that was the one that I kind of like ghosted him afterwards.
How did you get rid of him at the door? Did you just say, "Hey, I'm not feeling well. Get out of here."
Yeah. Well, I didn't say get out of here.
Said a little nicer than that.
Yeah. And I think okay, like kind of going back to when you're like, how should someone ask you out? So like after I went out with him, we were texting for a little bit, but it was like kind of those text conversations that like don't really go anywhere. And it's just like, they're reaching just to like keep the conversation going. And you're like, okay, like I really don't want to keep this conversation going. And that's kind of why I did end up ghosting him, which again, I feel bad about. Yeah. But it's hard because like there was no opening for me to be like, hey, like I think you're cool, but like I'm not interested in you, without like sounding presumptuous of like that he was going to ask me out again, if that makes sense. Because I was like, okay, if you're just going to like beat around the bush, like I don't have an opportunity to say like that I'm not interested, because then it makes me look like I'm assuming like that you like me, and maybe you don't. I don't know. And then maybe, that presents like an opportunity for him to get defensive and be like, well, I wasn't going to ask you out again.
Right.
To save face, maybe. I don't know.
Which,
so
people do that.
Yeah, people do that. So it's just like, I think I'm just like old. I'm just tired of like these games where you're like trying to sneak, like just like be straight up, just ask, and I don't know. Yeah.
So just go for it.
Yeah. And do it with confidence. Like don't wimp out in the middle and be like, actually, well, never mind.
So unfortunate.
I know.
Sad that needs to be said.
Yeah.
What is one thing you know about men now that you wish that you knew when you were younger?
Men don't like talking about feelings. Just kidding.
Kind of true.
It's kind of true. I mean, that's an over generalization.
Yeah. That was a consistent friction point with us.
Yeah.
You wanted me to open up more.
Yeah. I think also certain like words and actions mean different things to different people.
Yeah.
So I think that can cause like confusion as well. So like, I think like for me, like kissing someone means certain things, and maybe for someone else it means something else. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I think it's just like you have to be aware of like what do my words and actions mean? What am I communicating to this person? And are we like on the same page about it?
Yeah. Do you feel like you understand men decently now, or is it
no?
Not at all.
No, I'm really bad. I don't know. I think that like understanding myself better and like why I am the way that I am, and like here are my issues, here are my traumas, like helps me like see situations a little differently, and like then I can kind of like, by understanding myself better, I can understand like the other person better.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I think men and women, the vast majority of men and women don't understand the opposite gender.
Yeah.
Do you think it's possible for us to understand each other?
Yeah, I do.
And how do we get there? How does an individual get to that point where they're like, where a dude's like, I really understand women, or where a woman's like, I really understand men?
I don't think you have to understand all of them. I think maybe you just have to understand the one that you choose to be with.
Just understand your person.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to men to be able to thrive in today's dating world?
Well, I think we kind of already touched on it, just like the confidence thing, you know.
Don't change your mind mid-sentence.
Yeah.
When you're asking someone out.
I think like it's really important to like be respectful of people's boundaries.
Yeah.
Because I mean, personally, and like a lot of my friends, we have had experiences where just like people will try to kind of like test the boundary and see how far like can I push this, or you know, and when you voice a concern like, hey, I'm uncomfortable with this, and then they like kind of just like try it anyway, or like, you know, that just feels like really disrespectful, I guess, and like is really unattractive. And so like I've actually said no to dates with people who I felt like I don't think this person is going to respect my boundaries, and I kind of feel like I don't feel safe with this person.
Yeah. And I think that's totally fine to not say yes to a first date.
Right. But see, like I said, we were conditioned to like always have to say yes and always give people a chance. Yeah. But like I think it needs to be okay to not want that.
Right.
But yeah, I think something that maybe guys don't think about or realize is like when a girl agrees to go out with you, like she's kind of putting her safety and like trust in you, you know?
Especially in today's age with true crime.
I know.
That's what all the women are thinking about.
I've been watching too much true crime. I know. It's bad. I mean, people can secretly be crazy.
Yeah.
And you just don't know.
They really can. I agree with you there.
It's scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, you might think, like, I'm a good guy. Like, why is this girl, you know, why wouldn't this girl want to go out with me or whatever? But it's like, we don't know that. Mm-hmm. I don't know you. Like, are you going to attack me? Are you going to, like, kidnap me? Will you take me home after? Like, will you be respectful? Like, will you be safe? You know, like, those kinds of things. So even if, like, in your head, you're like, but I'm a good guy, you know, it's like, but we don't know that yet. Mm-hmm. So make it known, you know, make it obvious, like treat people respectfully and treat them well.
Figure out a way to get her to know that you're normal.
Yeah.
That you're not a threat. How can guys do that? How can they?
I don't know.
What builds trust for you? For Rebecca Brebberman.
I'm just like really sensitive to like weird feelings. I don't know. Like
weird feelings.
Yeah. I feel like you're like making fun of me a little bit.
I'm not.
Okay.
This is the reason you feel that way is because I've teased you a lot in the past. I'm not teasing you right now.
Okay. I feel like I can get a feel for someone if they're talking to me, like what they want from me, you know?
Okay.
Like you can tell like what a person thinks about you when they're talking to you usually, you know, like if they don't like you can tell they don't like you. If they're like checking you out, you can tell, you know, just like this is why I kind of hate like going to like single adult boards. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to like, you know, rag on them or anything, but I feel like there's just always somebody whenever you go who's like kind of like scoping, you know, kind of like circling like a vulture, like who's new, who is the meat today. And when I feel like that, I feel like very uncomfortable.
Yeah. No one wants to be the meat.
No. And I don't know. I think just like with you, for example, I never felt like threatened. I never felt like, I don't know, that this guy is just going to like take advantage of me or anything. I don't know. I just got like a good vibe or something. And it's like, okay.
It's nice of you to say.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's like spiritual promptings being like, this guy is not good, or if it's just like I'm very sensitive and weird.
Right.
to like.
It's probably not a bad thing.
Yeah.
You know, better safe than sorry, right?
Yeah.
What advice do you have for me personally?
For you personally?
As someone who knows me exceptionally well.
Do I know you exceptionally well? I mean, I know you pretty well.
I think you know me exceptionally well.
Okay.
Compared to the vast majority of people, yes.
I mean, I just always wanted you to like be more open with me and like more vulnerable and more honest. Like that's all I really wanted.
Yeah.
And like,
what does that mean? I feel like a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of.
I guess like I just really wanted to understand you.
Yeah.
The thing that like, honestly, the thing that like broke my heart the most was kind of the misunderstanding that we had about like the relationship before our relationship that you had.
Yes.
Because I would keep asking you about it, and I know that really bothered you. Mm-hmm. And you never wanted to talk about that. And I think that came off like as, oh, Rebecca's insecure about our relationship because she keeps wanting to know about my past relationship. Whereas right. like in my head, it was like, I just want to understand you better and like know like what happened and like why you are the way you are.
Yeah.
And I think like the last time we talked before now, mm-hmm. Was like super traumatic to me because like I just realized like I'm the bad guy. Like this person that he dated before that I like in my head thought was like awful was not. And it was me like the whole time.
For what it's worth, I never saw you as the bad guy.
Well, I did. So
jeez, that was a regret that I had. I wish that I had opened up about that sooner because I did see that as like an insecurity when I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
From your perspective, you were just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good advice. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that was a friction because like, you know, I just kept like wanting to talk about it and bring it up and you didn't. And like, maybe I wasn't understanding like why you didn't want to talk about it and you didn't understand why I was wanting to talk about it.
Yeah. And we both had our own assumptions and both of them were wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
And we were living in that stew of misunderstanding.
Yeah. For like a year, which is really sad.
It's very unfortunate.
Yeah. So I think, I don't know, like if I could do it differently, it would probably just be to like either respect like that you didn't want to talk about it more and like be like, okay, like we will drop this for now and maybe later we can like come back to it if necessary, or just like try to explain better like why I wanted to talk about that or know those things. Yeah. Because I don't feel like that was communicated very well. So yeah. So I do regret.
I agree.
That.
Dang. Well, let's end on a positive note.
Okay.
What is Rebecca Brebberman's ideal man? What does he look like? What does he act like?
Oh gosh.
What's he doing with his life?
I don't know that what he looks like is super important.
Right. He can have kind of ugly face.
He can have kind of an ugly face. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. I don't know if I told you this before and you're probably going to hate me, but I always said when I was younger, like, I will never, ever marry a bald guy.
Oh, you've told me that.
Yeah, I probably did. And now I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so awful. Like, that was so bad of me to say.
Well, in your defense, I also never imagined that I would marry a bald woman. So
true, but that might be a little more weird. But I mean, like, honestly, every person that I've been like super interested in my life has like physically looked pretty different. Yeah. So I don't feel like I have like a specific type of person. It's honestly like the personality is huge.
You look at the heart.
I hope so. Yeah, and I want somebody who's like, like motivated and like works hard and that kind of stuff. But like also like I do want like a nice family balance and like,
yeah,
I guess I want to like create like a partnership with somebody.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just want somebody like I feel good with and like feel happy and
yeah,
who like makes me laugh and that I just enjoy being with.
Yeah. That was something that was kind of hard for you when we were dating, was that I was very busy.
Yeah, it was a little hard.
I remember that. And that was unfortunate. Yeah. I'm sorry.
No. I mean, I understood. And I think that I tried to like be respectful of your space, but I don't think I like did a good job because I think like in my head, I was like, oh, I'm just reaching out because I care about you and I want to see how you're doing. And
yeah,
I don't know, maybe it came off as like needy and that like really was not my intention.
I don't think it did. I always felt bad that I was very busy. I think those are very reasonable things that you're looking for in a guy, though. I think men can strive for that and they can become that.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show, Rebecca. That was a good conversation.
Okay, good. Because this is probably like the weirdest thing I've ever done.
Probably not what you were expecting to do with your Saturday night.
No. And probably weird because I don't think a lot of people knew I was doing this, and I didn't really tell anybody because I was like, they're gonna be like, "Why are you doing this, Rebecca? You're dumb." But
well, I appreciate you coming on the show.
No, it was good to see you and talk to you. Yeah,
it's fun to run into you randomly a week ago.
Randomly,
yeah. Appreciate you agreeing to come on to the podcast.
Sure thing.